Love is Blind is literally everything wrong with modern dating and relationships. What's up, YouTube? It's Tiny C, and I'm back with another YouTube video. So today I'm going to be talking about Love is Blind because I have been watching Love is Blind season 6. I've watched every single season thus far, and I'm really a fan of the program. Watching this season, I've really been prompted to make a video where I talk about how a lot of the themes that we're seeing within the couples' relationships remind me of the problems that we see in the modern dating world. So let's get into it. Is a Netflix production that follows 15 men and 15 women. They are placed within pods where they aren't able to see each other, and they have 10 days to get to know each other and hopefully get engaged. Sight unseen. Once they get engaged, they're able to reveal their faces to each other, and then they go on their honeymoon. After their honeymoon, they're sent off into the real world where they live in a house together, and they have about 4 weeks to figure out whether they want to say yes or no once they get to the altar. As you could probably assume, there's a whole lot of drama that goes on. There's a whole lot of mess that goes on. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the entertainment of it all. The premise of this show is really focusing on the fact that they're supposed to build an emotional... That like twists my tongue for some reason. The fact that they're supposed to build an emotional connection over a superficial connection that's just based on looks. So they're taking the phrase love is blind quite literally by preventing them from seeing each other. This show has done very well because I think they are doing a very different take on regular dating shows. But will we find out if love is truly blind?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Let's find out. Before we get into the dissection, I think it's important to talk about where the phrase love is blind has come from in history. So the phrase love is blind has a lot of roots in ancient philosophy and literature, although the meaning has grown and changed over time. You could see in ancient times, if you think of the Romans and the Greeks, that they also would reference it a lot in their literature. Plato's Symposium has a character named Alcibiades, and he references that love is blind, meaning that he's willing to overlook the flaws of his partner. This is really the first place that we see Greek and Roman writers and artists start to bring up this concept and this philosophy. Then when we go into the Romanticism and the Enlightenment period, we also see that this theme is alive and well. Romantic poets like Lord Byron and William Wordsworth, they also bring up themes of love being blind. They also explore the transformative power of love and its ability to really blind you from seeing any flaws in your partner. We still see this theme of love being transformative and sort of blinding you from the realities of the world. If we fast forward to modern times, we still see themes of love being blind in modern pop culture, pop art, media, and movies. A really good example of this in modern media and movies is The Shape of Water. And this is a movie where a mute janitor falls in love with an amphibious creature that they had him locked up and they were testing on him, and she falls in love with him. Very weird movie, not gonna lie, but I think this movie demonstrates the idea of love being blind, and she didn't care that he was an amphibious creature and they were testing on him, and she just, she wanted him against all odds. It's another example of that theme still being alive and well. And to me, the idea of love being blind really reminds me of the concept of true love.
I love you.
I love you too. Until you feel true love's first kiss.
We hear this all the time when we think of Cinderella, we think of all those little Disney movies, even Shrek. We think of true love, true love's first kiss, all of those themes where essentially this love is able to overcome everything. It's usually transformative in the sense that it changes the characters and who they are, makes them a better person. It really demonstrates the idea that love is a transformative power that can make you a better person. It can make you fall in love. It can just make your life make a 180. And that's really what these romance movies, novels always are trying to demonstrate. And we eat it up every single time. I am an avid romance fan, so I know this theme, and I love the theme. Love it. But I think in real life, what a lot of people experience is infatuation. It's an intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something. And I feel like a lot of people have to build from infatuation into true love, where you are able to overlook flaws, where you are able to be more understanding of who the person is, where you are able to look at them as a whole person rather than whatever fantasy that you had of them when you first started dating. It's kind of like the honeymoon stage. And what breaks you from the honeymoon stage, I mean, some people claim they never exit the stage, but when you exit it, it's essentially that you finally see them for a whole person rather than just a lot of assumptions that you have. You don't know how they're going to act in every situation, but eventually you do find out. And if you're still able to love them through all of that, that's where you're able to sort of transition to that true love, or whatever you want to call it, but a more stable love, a more sustaining love, because infatuation isn't really sustainable. So all in all, the idea that love is blind is a theme that we see in media and pop culture that's still alive to this day, and we love it. And it's super entertaining because to see a love so pure, a love so strong, a love so transformative that it's able to move characters to change, to do things that they never would have imagined is really fun to watch. It's really touching. And so I understand why Netflix is like, well, let's do that, but make it a reality show where they only have 40 days to do the same thing. But honestly, as you would expect, it's a disaster, and it's not successful most of the time. So let's get into breaking down Love is Blind Season 6. So the hypothesis of this show is asking whether love is truly blind. Are contestants able to make a connection sight unseen, propose, and then actually get married based off of those 10 days? Where they built infatuation, essentially. The premise is really interesting, but I think it would be very, very hard, for being very honest, to build a connection so strong that you get married, and that the marriage is healthy and sustaining. There's not going to be a lot of people that succeed, and we've seen that in previous seasons. There's only a few couples that end up getting married. There will be some spoilers. I will be revealing things that happen in the show. So if you are not caught up with season 6, don't watch. But if you don't care and you're not going to watch, then feel free to watch me dissect this reality TV show. I'm going to be dissecting these 5 relationships and just showing the themes in their relationships that I see happen in real life to people, whether I've seen it on TikTok or whatever. But a lot of the themes that we see that they experience are super common and relatable. And I think that's also why a lot of people watch this show. So first, let's get started with Kenneth and Brittany. Kenneth is 26 years old and he's a principal, and Brittany is a 25-year-old client partner. Their connection was really built on religion. They talked a lot about the fact that they're Christians and their morals and values. They both wanted to wait to have sex until they were married. And I think they really connected on their faith, is what I was getting from what Netflix showed us. Both of them have had a parent that has deceased. And so that was another connecting factor, like all things that are super understandable. That will definitely get you infatuated, because just hearing those things and aligning on religion, the fact that you both have lost a parent, understandable. They also discussed a lot about their life, and it just felt like they would match. It sounded like they had a lot of views of how they wanted to live their life and lead their life. So Kenneth is an African American. Brittany was a white American. And they discussed the differences and the experiences that they might have as an interracial couple, and if they brought kids into the world. And so it felt like they were even preparing for that. All of these things were really good signs in my mind. It felt like the passion was alive. They were having the conversations necessary to make a decision, like getting engaged in this ridiculous show. But once they exited the pods and they moved to their honeymoon, all of a sudden we started to see Kenneth pull away. And I say it was Kenneth because he was like spacing out on that boat ride. We all remember that awkward boat ride scene, and he was spacing out. He was just like not there, clearly not there. What brought him back was Brittany asking about dolphins or saying something about dolphins. And then she's like, oh yeah, that got you going. So she was constantly trying to like get his attention, trying to get something from him. And I don't think she did it in a pushy way. Like, I think she was just honestly wondering what was up. You just kept seeing that theme happening slowly through their honeymoon and even when they got back home. So we see that he starts to pull away. It just felt like a sign of an avoidant attachment. It was like he was comfortable and he was feeling the passion when they were in the pause, but as soon as they left, all of a sudden he's pulling away. It's giving avoidant attachment. Like, it's just giving avoidant attachment. But then the weird thing was that she was talking to her other castmates and saying how attentive he was. And just like when you would see them talking at night, it just felt like their communication was there and they were selling each other a lot of like, yep, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're da-da-da-da. But then when it came to the action wasn't there. I feel like that pull, that push and pull, that like, you know, I'm here, I'm not here is definitely a relatable thing that people experience in real relationships, especially when you don't have a secure attachment and you're not comfortable to, you know, actually lean into an experience that can be emotionally intense. That's one aspect. And I think the second thing that we saw was a little bit of gaslighting. I'm not going to lie. It was ridiculous because every time Brittany brought something up that she felt was like happening in their relationship, because I don't think Kenneth ever brought anything up. It was her, at least from what they showed. It was her bringing things up to his attention.
Sometimes I'm affectionate and you're not.
When?
Last night when I woke you up knowing you had work at 5 a.m., you pushed me off for you.
Because I was tired.
If you're not asleep and awake when it's convenient for me, that doesn't give intimacy. That doesn't give I want to be loved. That actually gives me the ick.
But that's not how sleep works.
Does that make sense?
No.
This is why things are not progressing and we have to be introspective about that.
Be careful, you're going to hurt your watch.
Please don't interrupt me when I'm trying to gaslight you.
I'm sorry, I'll be quiet now.
He would just somehow flip it and reverse it and talk her out of it. Or on the last time, it was like he made her feel like she was the one. She's like, well, what? I mean, I'm fine. Like, I'm still in the relationship. So maybe it's you. And it's like, clearly we're watching and we're seeing what's happening. Of course, there's the Netflix magic and we don't know what's actually going on, but it felt like he was on his phone. He was becoming quieter. He was pulling away and she was probably anxious attachment. She was probably like, you know, it was pulling her in. He was like leaving and that made her trigger and like, you know, start trying to pull him close. It just wasn't working. So you can already see an unhealthy dynamic. I think the one good thing about this show is that since they have the 40 days to like get to know each other and decide if they're going to get married, it is like an expedited experience of a relationship. That type of dynamic could have went on for much longer, but because it was like, well, I don't know if I can say yes at the altar with this feeling. You know what I mean? Someone would have kept going in that relationship, even though there's signs that like there's an unhealthy dynamic going on. And it was a dynamic that we hear about a lot. Now let's move on to Chelsea and Jimmy. I have the most to say about Chelsea and Jimmy. Chelsea's bringing the spice this season. Chelsea is a 31-year-old flight attendant and Jimmy is 28 years old and in software sales. So both of them actually had two separate connections, which is, okay. They're both the type of person that I guess isn't super sure of things, because I don't know, if I was in there, like, I'm not talking to two people until the end. Like, I'm not doing that. That's just too much energy and I have to focus on one person. So they're both the type of person that I guess their feelings are up in the air until the last moment. I don't know if they're like that in real life because, you know, some people are in talking stages with multiple people. Chelsea was talking to Jimmy and Lucas, I think his name was, and Jimmy was talking to Jessica and Chelsea. I think the biggest thing about Chelsea and Jimmy, first we'll focus on Chelsea. Chelsea did not show her true self when they were in the pods. She was being chill. She was being laid back. She was acting like the cool girl. She was acting like, oh, I'm laid back. I don't care. Do whatever you want. So many girls do this. So many people want to be the cool girl. Like, yeah, you can do whatever. I'm fine. But the truth is you care. The truth is like you do have feelings. You do have emotions. And there's no use really in like acting like you don't. Then we quickly see that whole facade And that whole persona, the cool girl persona, break down as soon as they exit those pods.
What's wrong with you? Huh? Nothing. There's something wrong. Nothing wrong with me? Are you good? You ignored me all night. You were commenting on 80s body. What? I did not notice how stacked and racked her body was. Nope. Where are you going? All of the other girls talked about how great their connections were, Jimmy. What? I don't understand. You ignored me. I was not ignoring you. I was busy bragging about you. I was bragging about you to Johnny, to Clay, to Dale. Who's Dale? That weird producer guy in the corner. I did some big time braggings to him about you. I did. I kissed you more at the party than all the other couples combined. I counted. I feel like you don't like me. Did I like you more when I thought you looked like Megan Fox? Yes. But do I like you? No. I love you. I love you. What are you thinking about right now? Thinking about it's Jessica's celebrity doppelganger. Who do you think it would be?
And immediately you see that she is someone that needs reassurance. She is someone that likes words of affirmation. She likes physical touch. The gag is he was the one that said, I love you first, right? And then all of a sudden, her whole thing is that she doesn't believe he loves her. But the gag is he was the one that said, I love you first. It was just like, what? So yeah, she just sold a lie, in my opinion, and she was not being her true self because it was literally a 180 switch immediately. Like, do you think I'm pretty? Do you love me? You don't hug me? You don't kiss me? Like, she's counting the kisses. She's counting the hugs. Like, it's a complete change. She seemed so secure, so calm, so accepting and like a bubbly, like, you know, and she just completely changed. You still see she's bubbly and I think wants to be that type of person. But at the end of the day, you have to be true to yourself. But I think a lot of people can relate with that, not being their true self to like sell yourself and like get someone to like you. But it just happens so quickly because they got to decide, do they want to get married? She likes to start fights with Jimmy. And when it doesn't go her way, she kind of like pulls back or twists it or sort of shifts it. It's kind of scary to see, to be honest. But like she gets mad, and then as soon as like he's being harsh with her, then she like cries. It just feels, something about it is really manipulative. And I don't think she goes into those fights with like a real plan.
Babe, I had so much fun with you today. I love you so much. Oh my gosh, I love you too, babe. I just feel like I don't want to be with someone who has friends. If that's how you feel right now, then I don't care to be with you either. Well, how could you say that? You just said that. You sat there and you lied to me. You didn't lie to me? Because you said you will never go out. Chelsea, I cannot be with you every hour of the day. So you hate me. This really makes me question what the fuck I've done. This conversation? Mm-hmm. Not when you said you look like Megan Fox. I don't think Megan Fox will be acting like this right now. Are you drunk? Seriously?
She's not a really great communicator, and that's another big problem that I see in their relationship. Like, you have to communicate your feelings. You can't assume your partner to know what you're thinking, know what you're feeling. And then Jimmy, he wasn't being forthright with his feelings because he waited till the end to tell Jessica that Jessica was the other woman that he was dating in the pods, and Jessica had a 10-year-old child. Jessica waited like probably 4 days, 3 days to tell Jimmy this fact. And then Jimmy proceeded to string her along.
Cut me off. You told someone else that you loved them yesterday. I would have hoped that you had made your mind up, if that's how you felt.
I told someone else because I got the clarity I needed after our date. I do think it's unfair to say that I had my mind made up yesterday, because I didn't. If I am really worked up about something and I'm emotionally not on the top of my game, I need someone that can help me with that.
You're right.
Something I lacked.
Yep, you're totally right. If you need someone to hold your hand and guide you and coddle you, she will never be me, and she'll never be a woman like me.
If that was going to be his choice, he should have said that earlier so that he could have focused on Chelsea. So I feel like he wasn't being forthright with his feelings, and that just isn't right. Chelsea said that she looked like Megan Fox. Everyone, like, that's the big headlines, like Megan Fox. And he was like, like he reacted in a way like, oh yeah, like that was a plot. Why was she even revealing what she looked like to him? She wanted a little leg up. So she thought, oh yeah, a lot of people say I look like Megan Fox. Like, I don't know about it. I don't. Like, girl, you did it to kind of convince him, and it worked. And then when he saw her, you could see that it was really awkward, and it was just like, oh no.
That you were lying to me for a little bit, because I got in my head about...
You're surprised I'm not tattooed from...
Yeah, not that, but like other things. Happy. Are you happy?
I'm so happy. I don't want to let you go. Oh my god.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then he reveals she does not look like Megan Fox, but she's still attracted to me. He has kept it consistent in his portrayal of who he is as a person. It all seems good. I think the only thing is that he's not forthright with his emotions, and he does not stand on business. Because when Chelsea was going at him the night that he decided to go out with his friends for an hour or whatever, how long he was going to the bar, and she went off on him and they had that horrible fight, and he did his 4-mile walk, and he came back and he said, I think it's a no. She manipulated him. She convinced him to stay. And he should have stood on business. He just needs to learn how to actually be so real. Like, just say your feelings. If you don't like her very much, leave. Why are you staying? They also have a lot of relatable things going on in their relationship. I think a lot of people stay in relationships even though they're not being treated right, even though they know it's not right for them, and they're scared to express their emotions. They don't want to hurt people. They don't know. They're not sure of how they feel. It's like, and that will have you in a relationship that's not serving you. Now, let's move on to AD and Clay. Clay's a 31-year-old sales entrepreneur. I think he has like a business. And Amber, or AD, is a 33-year-old real estate advisor. They both are actually a lot more similar than you would first think when you see them, because I think AD at first kind of acts as though she isn't superficial. She doesn't really care about looks. She kind of mentions how Clay is someone that she usually goes for. So I think she has an idea of what Clay looks like, how he might present himself as. He did a good job of like selling his persona and, you know, making it known what type of guy he is. And so she's like, yeah, I've dated guys like that. First mistake. This is the first thing that we see happen a lot in modern dating. Like, you go for a type and that type never works, and yet you're still going for that same type. Like, you know, you like the bad boy and the bad boy does bad boy things. And then you're like, oh no, like, what's wrong with dating? It's because you're going for the same type of guy. So I didn't get that. It's like, if you know this goes wrong, why are you going for it? And then Clay also, I think, has a type. He likes a certain type of woman that has a certain type of body. And he asked AD what her body looked like. And she was like, no, I'm not going to tell you because we're on Love is Blind. He did kind of overcome that and propose to her, even though he didn't see her. They see each other, they like each other, but I do think they have a bit of a superficial relationship. And when AD introduces Clay to her mother, she kept saying like, oh, like, do you see him though? Like, he's hot, like look at him, look at what he looks like. Why do you keep mentioning his looks? Like, how does he treat you? How does the connection? Like, you can't be so stuck in the fantasy of his looks and what that does for you that you're willing to sacrifice a good relationship. And yet again, super relatable. A lot of people go for looks. A lot of people are superficial. A lot of people, if a guy's hot, if a girl's hot, that's all that matters. That's all they need. The relationship could be like ass and they're still gonna stay because they're hot, which is ridiculous, but a lot of people do it. I will say that they're able to communicate fairly well. I mean, they had their little trip up in the pods where Clay got a little spicy with her, but we haven't seen that since then. So it feels like, okay, maybe he actually was just really angry. Still concerning, but Nonetheless, we have not seen that happen. They could potentially work it out, although it might be superficial. I think they could grow into a true love. So that's really the themes we see with them. Choosing someone that you know is your type, and are they a good fit for you besides the fact that they're your type? There's more to it than their looks. Like, that's the point of the show. Now we move on to Laura and Jeremy. Laura is a 34-year-old account director, and Jeremy is a 32-year-old intralogistics guy, whatever that means. Jeremy was also talking to two people in the pods. So, like I said, anyone that's talking to two people in the pods, they have a problem with choice. They have a problem with like narrowing things down. Shows not being, you can't pick two people, right? And if you can't pick two people, why are you talking to people? Narrow it down as quickly as possible, in my opinion. Laura was only talking to Jeremy. I think that was her only connection that she really had. But Jeremy sold himself very well. He was telling her a story, and she bought into that, probably spoke to her in some way. It's like, it's hard for me when they're connecting on things that aren't tangible. They're connecting on things that aren't like life experience, how they actually behave. Like, what's your morning routine look like? Like, how do you like to sleep? These are tangible things that you're going to see how they act in real life. He's talking about something way in the future when they have kids and they have a family, they wake up for Christmas. Like, building infatuation based off of that is like probably the first problem. And because it's like a complete story. Like, we have no idea. It's not tangible. It's not real. It's not real life. They are a story of pushing past incompatibility, because you could see Laura wasn't really feeling his humor. You know, like they'd like fight with each other. And the mom was even like, you guys kind of nip at each other. Is that normal? And so it's an incompatibility for me. Laura was not able to be super direct with how she felt about him and probably the incompatibilities that she was seeing. And she was trying to overcome them. She's like, yeah, you know, Hawaiian shirts, whatever. But like, it was more than just the Hawaiian shirt. It was the way he acted. There were some real personality incompatibilities that were going on. And I think she was trying to make it work, but it wasn't working. On Jeremy's side, there was a little bit of emotional immaturity going on. Every time that they got into a fight or some amount of emotional work had to be done, he would walk away. He would run away and he wouldn't be able to deal with it. That showed me that, okay, he is not able to confront his emotions. He is someone that has to, you know, walk away. And to a certain extent, you know, having to take some time to breathe, to collect your thoughts is okay. But with him, it felt like he really would run away. He was just very avoidant with it all. And he got easily overwhelmed about everything. To me, it wasn't just someone that needs time to think. It was someone that doesn't like to confront their emotions. And Laura kind of had to pay the price of that. That was probably a red flag that she needed to pay attention to. Because eventually I feel like that was the demise of their relationship, because Jeremy did not want to discuss what he was doing with Sarah Ann at 5 a.m. in the morning at her house. And another red flag that I think Laura ignored was him hearting the message from Sarah Ann. If you have chose somebody, right? We're on a show where you're going to get engaged. We're on a show where you're 10 days, meet, and then you get engaged, and the plan's to get married. Why are you entertaining one of the people that you were also in connection with? That's crazy. That's a red flag. I think because of the whole process, she's not thinking of it like that. But in my mind, it's like, you're my fiance and you just hearted a message of someone essentially leaving the door open. Red flag. Like, you didn't choose me for real. That's another failure of modern relationships. Unless you're in open relationships, and in that case, then do whatever you want. But when you're trying to be in a monogamous relationship and you have somebody that is talking to multiple people at the same time, how are you focusing on me? How are you getting to know me? How is this? It's like, it's going to be two of us in the end. Like, I'm not on a reality game show. Like, focus on me only. So that was probably the red flag, and him writing that message was just like, come on. That's Laura and Jeremy. Now let's move on to the final couple, Amy and Johnny. Amy is a 28-year-old e-commerce specialist, and Johnny is a 28-year-old account executive. And they met and connected on things that felt very genuine. Amy was sharing about her brother who has special needs and how special her relationship with him is. The things that they were building their relationship on was something very stable and genuine. They cried a lot together. And of course, that's going to build emotional connection and that feeling of love. They just felt like very genuine people because once they exited into the honeymoon phase, they kept that same energy. Like, I don't think either of them switched up. It felt like the chemistry that they had in the pods actually translated to real life. And they have really good communication with each other every time they're talking about something a little bit more serious, something that, has a bit more gravity to it. They are really good at that. It feels like they're able to communicate their feelings and their thoughts in a way that isn't like destructive or negative in any way. Only problem they have is that Johnny wants Amy to go on birth control. Hopefully they're able to overcome this and figure out a solution. And hopefully Amy doesn't compromise her body. But if she decides that she wants to, then, whatever. It's just, that's the one thing I don't really like. They're really modeling healthy communication and like a genuine connection where there aren't a lot of incompatibilities in their behaviors and how they are as people. Love is Blind has its few gems like Amy and Johnny every season. And this season, it's them. It's a good show to watch to get a look into what a lot of modern relationships and what the dating market, like what people are really experiencing in real life. Like this is very real. Although it is a curated experience, it's real. The experiences are real. The problems that they're facing are real and relatable. That's all I have for today. That's all I have for the video. What do you guys think of Love is Blind? Are you watching? Are you not watching? Did you want to watch now? Yeah, comment that down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next YouTube video.